From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. More than 500 law firms have condemned President Donald Trump. They accuse him of abusing his power by targeting specific law firms. The firms say Trump punished those linked to his political opponents. These punishments included losing government contracts and access to federal buildings. The actions aim to intimidate lawyers from opposing Trump's administration. In a joint court filing, the law firms warned that Trump's orders could severely harm targeted firms. They say these moves undermine the rule of law by creating fear. However, none of America's 20 largest firms by revenue joined this filing. The group declared Trump's actions dangerous, saying no short-term political gain is worth damaging legal integrity. They insist Trump's tactics threaten democratic norms by discouraging fair legal representation and challenges to authority. The Israeli-backed Zionist group Beitar US has been targeting anti-Zionist Jews across the US, Canada, Europe, and Latin America. It compiles and shares personal details of Free Palestine activists with Israeli authorities. This includes their names, photos, jobs, and social media activity. The group is linked to the Tel Aviv-based Bet Jabotinsky Center. Beitar boasts support from Israeli ministers, Knesset members, intelligence agencies, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party. It frequently posts pro-Netanyahu messages and confirms submitting names of alleged Hamas supporters in the U.S. to the Trump administration for deportation. Beitar has claimed credit for the arrest of Palestinian activist and legal permanent U.S. resident Mahmoud Khalil last month. The group has also been targeting Jews worldwide, asking the Israeli government to block their entry into Israel. Beitar confirmed sending lists of diaspora Jews they label as enemies to the Israeli government, aiming to ban them for life. High-profile figures like Jewish journalist Peter Beinart and members of groups like Jewish Voice for Peace and Code Pink have been targeted. Among the exposed is Rachel Lakin, associate Jewish chaplain at Yale's Joseph Slifka Center for Jewish Life. Beitar accuses her of publicly threatening Judaism and is recommending that she be banned from Israel for life. The group also attacked pro-Israel professor Shai Davidai for advocating a boycott of Israel. The group says it stands firmly behind Israel during its ongoing genocidal war against Palestine. Thousands gathered in Washington, D.C. on Saturday, demanding an end to Israel's genocide in Gaza and the crackdown on Free Palestine activism in the U.S. More than 300 organizations backed the rally. Protesters marched to key sites, including the Immigration and Customs Enforcement headquarters. They called for the release of detained activists like Columbia University graduate Mahmoud Khalil and Tufts University student Rumeysa Öztürk. The protest was co-sponsored by groups including the Palestinian Youth Movement, Jewish Voice for Peace, the People's Forum, and the Answer Coalition. Demonstrators carried posters of Palestinian children killed in Gaza by Israel and students arrested or deported for their pro-Palestine activism. They condemned attacks on civil liberties under the Trump administration. Former U.S. diplomat and Code Pink member Ann Wright told Anadolu News Agency students were being detained and deported simply for opposing genocide. Suzanne Ali of the Palestinian Youth Movement said the rally showed the movement's resilience, stressing arrests and threats only strengthened their resolve. For many participants, the protest was personal, reflecting anger over government actions and solidarity with Palestinians. In related news, millions of Americans rallied in protests titled Hands Off across the country and overseas. It was the strongest public rebuke yet to President Donald Trump and his top ally, Elon Musk, for attacking the federal government and harming working families. More than 1,300 events took place nationwide, drawing bigger crowds than expected. Indivisible, one of the key organizing groups behind the day's protests, called it the largest day of protests since Trump returned to office. In many towns, activists reported the biggest protests ever seen. Demonstrators demanded an end to what they called Trump's authoritarian power grab and criticized Musk's influence, who is not an elected government official. They also called for the protection of healthcare, civil rights, schools, freedoms, and democracy. An Israeli settler killed a 14-year-old Palestinian-American boy in the occupied West Bank. Omar Mohammed Rabia was killed at the entrance of Turmus Aya near Ramallah on Sunday. Mayor Adib Lafi said Israeli settlers opened fire on 3 teens. 2 were rushed to a medical center. Rabia, who was badly wounded, was detained by Israeli soldiers and later died. The Palestinian Health Ministry confirmed his death, blaming Israeli occupation forces. The Israeli military has not commented on Rabia's killing. Israeli settler violence in the West Bank has surged since Israel's genocide in Gaza began in October 2023. Settlers have attacked Palestinian villages and Bedouin camps almost daily. Despite international condemnation and sanctions from Europe, Israel's violence continues. The Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, condemned the killing and repeated its call for the U.S. Justice Department to prosecute Israelis who kill American citizens. CAIR joined more than 60 national organizations urging Congress to pass the Justice for Shireen Act. The proposed law would require the FBI and State Department to publicly report on the circumstances surrounding Israel's killing of Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh, who was a U.S. citizen. Hasna Masnavi, founder of America's first women's mosque, has died at age 39. Her family says she passed away on Wednesday due to complications from type 1 diabetes. Masnavi, based in Los Angeles, launched the Women's Mosque of America in 2014. It is the first U.S. mosque led by women for women and open only to women. She said the mosque was her childhood dream, a safe space for women to grow. Masnavi was also a comedy writer and director, working to portray Muslims and underrepresented groups authentically. In 2018, CNN named her one of 25 influential American Muslims. Community leader Faisal Buhari praised Masnavi for boosting Sri Lankan Muslim representation in U.S. media and civic life. New Israeli strikes kill 57 Palestinians in 24 hours. More details after the break, so stay tuned. Israeli air raids have killed at least 57 Palestinians and wounded 137 in Gaza in the past 24 hours, according to the Palestinian government media office. The dead include 8 children. Since dawn Monday, Israel has killed 13 people in strikes, Al Jazeera reports. Among the dead is journalist Helmi Al-Faqawi, who was killed when Israeli forces bombed a tent housing journalists near Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis. Israel's genocide in Gaza has so far killed 233 journalists, 13 per week on average, making it the deadliest conflict for media workers ever recorded. In Deir al-Balah, Israeli airstrikes hit 2 homes, killing 2 people and injuring others. Israeli drone attacks also hit Gaza City's Zaytun neighborhood and the Al-Juran area, killing 4 more Palestinians. 2 others died in an Israeli strike on Jabalia in the north. Israel's military also ordered mass evacuations from 5 neighborhoods of Deir al-Balah. Palestinian authorities say 490 children have been killed over the past 20 days. Since Israel resumed its attacks on March 18th after breaking a ceasefire agreement, it has killed 1,391 Palestinians and wounded 3,434. The Palestinian Health Ministry says Israel has killed 50,695 people and injured 115,338 since it began its genocide in October 2023. Thousands are still missing under the rubble. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his ex-defense minister Yoav Gallant for alleged war crimes. Israel also faces a genocide case at the International Court of Justice. In northern India's Uttar Pradesh state, more than 300 people have been served illegal notices after silent protests against controversial changes to Islamic charitable laws. Protesters wore black armbands during prayers. Indian authorities now require each person to appear before a magistrate and provide bonds of more than $2,000 to ensure they do not engage in further protests. The action follows India's parliament, led by the ruling Hindu nationalist Bharatiya Janata Party, passing a new Waqf amendment bill. The law changes rules governing Muslim charitable properties, such as mosques, schools, and graveyards, allowing non-Muslims on management boards and limiting property donations. Police in cities like Muzaffarnagar and Lucknow accuse protesters of threatening public peace. Political leaders, including members of the opposition Samajwadi Party, have also been targeted. Some were ordered to post bonds as high as $12,000. Critics say the crackdown violates democratic rights. Muslim groups and opposition parties have pledged nationwide peaceful protests and legal action against the new law. The All India Muslim Personal Law Board announced plans for rallies and symbolic arrests under the campaign Save Waqf, Save the Constitution. Mujib Shibli, who is also the secretary of the Jamiat-e-Ulema Hind, said they had arranged a silent protest with black ribbons on Friday. There was no noise, no demonstration, sloganeering, or any form of uproar, yet they were served notices. Former U.S. President Barack Obama has urged Americans, universities, and law firms to resist what he called the Trump administration's threatening policies. In a passionate speech at New York's Hamilton College, he warned that academic freedom is under attack and urged colleges not to back down, even if it means losing federal funding. Obama accused President Donald Trump of weakening the post-World War II international order and eroding key democratic principles. These include free speech, press freedom, and an independent judiciary. Obama asked ordinary citizens to act, declaring, "It's up to all of us to fix this, no matter the cost." The former president said he disagreed with some of Trump's economic policies, such as widespread new tariffs. But he said he is more deeply concerned with a federal government that threatens universities if they do not give up students who are exercising their right to free speech. He urged Americans to stand firm, saying, "Do not be intimidated. Democracy requires courage and sometimes sacrifice." Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro has announced the state's largest ever grant to a Muslim organization. Al-Aqsa Islamic Society in Philadelphia will receive $5 million. Shapiro described the community center as the center of the universe for local residents. He highlighted the importance of strong community institutions amid rising hate and global tensions. The funds will help expand Al-Aqsa Academy, which serves approximately 300 students but has a growing waiting list. The funds will create 12 new classrooms, a gym, and extra community spaces. Asif Hussain, Al-Aqsa's chairman, said the goal is building an academic center of excellence. The U.S. government has canceled more than 300 student visas amid a crackdown on free Palestine protesters. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed the visa revocations last week. Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil has accused Columbia University of enabling his arrest by immigration authorities last month. Khalil was a legal permanent resident of the U.S. when he was detained while returning home from an iftar dinner with his wife on March 8th. He was a lead negotiator last year between student protesters and Columbia University in their attempt to have the school cut ties to Israel. In a recent opinion piece, Khalil called his detention an abduction and urged students to resist repression. He says the targeting of international students supporting Palestine has intensified. Khalil has been accused of supporting anti-Semitic activity. The Trump administration is revoking his permanent residency in the United States. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. Please donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.